Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Mau tanya, tugas grammar itu gimana sih?
Nanti
Belum saya
ada
juga.
quiz, Pak Aib. Nanti kayak ada quiz. Coba dibaca di grup ya, Pak Aib. Mohon maaf. Khawatir
Minimal
dosanya datang.
Sampai kapan harus ngerjainnya, Miss?
Itu ada di grup siapa? Miss Opi yang bilang itu sampai jam 20 kalau nggak salah hari ini.
Oh iya. Makasih.
Ya, sami-sami Pak Aib.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning,
Good morning.
sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning,
sir. Good morning.
Morning. Where are the other 6 students? 5. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there are still 5 students who do not admit this Zoom. It is not good to be late to every meeting. If it becomes your habit, it will be bad for you and bad for others also. All right, because time is over, we are going to start our learning process today. This learning process will discuss about how to teach speaking, how to teach speaking better than before, not as usual. Ms. Arleta, what is speaking? I've told you last week about this.
Yeah, speaking is skill of English learning after listening, sir. Because last week we studied about you asked the students what is the skill of learning English. There are 4. The first is listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Maybe speaking is how we try to speak something after we got the stimulus from the listening, maybe like that, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Wildania,
Yes, sir. In my opinion, yes, a micro skill is one of the micro skill. It is how we produce some words. Then what's that? And by speaking, we communicate with others. That's all, sir.
Yes. Yes, but it is wrong. Yeah. Are you, Wildania, are you a teacher?
Yes, sir, but for this time, I'm only being a private teacher.
Yes, private teacher is a teacher also. Winda,
Yes,
what
sir.
do you know about speaking? We
Speaking
have
is
discussed it, tapi yes, come on.
speaking is the second skill that need to acquire of someone after listening. And in speaking, it means that a child or someone have already processed their thought after having listening, acquiring listening, and then they produce someone produce the skill of speaking. We call it speaking. I think that's all in my.
Yes, from these three answers, I come to my conclusion that you didn't learn. Yes. As a teacher, you must know the definitions of every topic you have learned or you want to teach. Yes. So remember, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know exactly about the four aspects of language. If you answer me by answering like this, speaking is the second aspect of language. That is true. That's okay. But if you have some more definition about it, you may say that speaking is expressing idea, yes, expressing opinion to the listeners, to somebody, to someone, and so and blah 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 blah. Yes. What is listening? Yes. You should know the definition. And if you answer me by saying listening is the first aspect of language, that's okay. Yes. So by my illustration, you can come to your conclusion yourself and you can answer me well. Yani Trisnani, what is reading? According to our lesson.
Yes, sir. Reading is the third aspect from language learning, from language.
Kapan Ibu ganti itu? Saya barusan ngomong. The first aspect of language. Be focused, ladies and gentlemen. Be focused. Yeah. There's a big difference between of and from. Yeah. Learn the what is it? The language better. Okay. What is then writing? Lilik Pujiani.
Writing is the fourth skill of language learning, and it is process of.
I didn't teach you like that. Afif, Mr. Afif.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Writing is the activity or skill of making coherent sentence.
It is still wrong, sir. You just say it is the fourth aspect of language. And then you have another definition of also. Okay, so after learning this four aspect of language, I would like you to remember this. Yes. What is listening? So you can say it is the first aspect of language. The first aspect of language learning. That's the first. And then what is listening? Listening is understanding what people say, yeah, in an easy way. Yes. What is speaking? Speaking is the second aspect of language. What is speaking? Speaking is expressing our idea to other people. Expressing our idea, our opinion about something to others. It is easy. What is reading? Reading is the third aspect of language. What is reading? Reading is understanding the written, yeah, writings, written word. If you do not understand the written word, you are not reading. Understanding what has happened surrounding, it is reading. You say that I read it, but you don't understand it. It is not reading. It is talking about understanding. Yes, so I would like you to make everything to be easy to remember, especially because you are teachers. Most of you are teachers. Yeah. Don't make it difficult. Make it easy. Yes. Okay. So Novianti Rahma, what is reading? Come on again. Novianti, come on.
Can I answer?
Switch on your speaker. I told you just now, right?
Yes.
Arif Hidayat, come on. Mr. Arif Hidayat. Oh my God.
Sir, may
I would
I?
like to try, sir.
Yes.
Reading
Mr.
is the
Lita.
third aspect of language or understanding the written words.
Yes, that's okay.
Thank
It
you,
is
sir.
easy. Don't make it difficult.
Yes.
Reading is understanding the written or the situation.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to be creative enough about everything in the world. That's the characteristics of intellectual people. Yeah. Make something easy to be remembered by your students. Don't make it difficult. Oh, of course, the complete definition can be read on the book. Yes. You may read Brown's book. What I said before, the easy way to remember. What do you use in listening? What parts of your body do you use in listening? Come on.
Our
ear,
Or
ears.
ear.
Ear.
Our ear.
Ear only. Oh my God.
No. Eyes, ear,
Oh,
hand. Because the body is like a stimulus, sir. Eyes, ear,
Brain.
a mouth. Maybe mouth.
In
and our sense.
listening. Yes, what kind of senses? So in listening, you use your ears, your brain, and your heart. Yes. Without eyes, you can do listening. Yes. Without hands, you can do listening. But to understand what you listen, you should use your brain and your heart. Yes. You need what is called thinking process. What do you use in speaking? Come on.
Our mouth.
Listening.
Mouth.
Mouth.
our mouth,
Brain,
heart, brain,
And
Ear.
Heart. And our feelings.
In speaking.
in speaking,
Mouth,
mouth,
Yeah.
brain,
Eyes.
eyes,
Hand.
ears,
gesture, our gesture.
And
Yes.
tongue.
If you want to be a good speaker, you must use the primary one should be mouth, of course. Then your brain, and then your all of parts of your body. Look at me. Yes, your gestures, your mimic, pantomimic. Yes. So in speaking, we need to use the whole of our body, whole senses. But in listening, no. Yeah. Remember this. All of the parts of your body should be used in a good speaking, as a good speaker. Don't speak like this by holding your pen and without moving. That's not a good speaker. What about reading? Do you need your gestures in reading?
Not really.
No, sir.
no,
Intonation.
Just your
Brain and
mouth.
Mouth,
Yes.
brain.
Your brain, your heart to understand what you are reading. No need to, I'm reading like this. No. What about writing?
Our
Use hand.
mind, brain,
Brain.
brain,
And
Heart.
heart.
Brain.
Just need hands, yeah, fingers.
yes, finger, sorry.
Fingers.
Brain, heart.
Heart of course. Do you need your gestures like this?
No,
No, sir.
we don't.
Do you
No,
need your
of
pen?
course.
Do you need your pen?
Yes.
Yes,
No,
of course.
Oh, no.
no. I use computer.
Oh, yes, computer, sorry.
Be careful, be careful. Sometimes in writing we need pen, pencil. But sometimes we do not need pen because we have computer.
Is it right?
Oh my God. Be
Yes, sir.
careful.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Yes. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, that's yeah, a perception preamble of this meeting today. Come on, yeah, be care about your surrounding. Yes, make everything easier to understand. Yes, that's my suggestion to you. That's the characteristics of intellectual. You should be able to make something difficult to become easier. If you cannot do that, you are not a good intellectual man. Yes, remember that, especially if you are teachers or lecturers. Some people say when I was a student of elementary school and some teachers said, oh, mathematics is very difficult. They say it is a difficult subject. No, it is not a difficult one. Math is an easy one, but you should be able to teach it in an easy way. Yes. So the paradigm about maths that it is difficult, it is wrong. It is wrong. The paradigm that English is very difficult because it is different from Indonesian, it is wrong. Don't make it difficult. Make it easy. But do not take it easy. Make it easy. Yes. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, who is going to be our presenters today? Because
We are,
time is
sir.
limited.
We are,
Okay,
sir.
come on. Time is yours.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, Miss.
Good morning,
We are,
Hesti.
yes, yes, sir. Yes, we are group 7. Our group members are Anissa Salsabila, Henny Suprihatin, and I am Hesti Suhartini Hamdan. Today, we would like to present the PowerPoint slides of our paper about teaching speaking. There are some topics of this chapter that we are going to present here. The first is oral communication skills in pedagogical research. Second, types of spoken language. Third, what makes speaking difficult. Fourth, micro and macro skills of oral communication. Fifth, types of classroom speaking performance. Sixth, principles for teaching speaking skills. Seventh, teaching conversation. Eighth, teaching pronunciation. Ninth, the cues and form and error treatment. And the last, assessing speaking in the classroom. Speaking is the second aspect of language. Brown in his book said that listening and speaking are closely interconnected. The interaction between these two modes of performance applies especially strongly to conversation. That's why some topic in teaching speaking chapter have the same in teaching listening, but they have different explanation. Now let's go to the first topic, oral communication skills in pedagogical research. There are some issues in teaching oral communication according to Brown. The first is conversational discourse. When someone asks you, do you speak English? They usually mean, can you carry on a conversation reasonably competently? The benchmark of successful language acquisition is almost the demonstration of an ability to accomplish pragmatic goals through interaction or interactive discourse with other speakers of the language. And the goals and also techniques for teaching conversation are extremely diverse depending on students, teachers, and also the context of the class. The second, teaching pronunciation, a language program that emphasizes whole language, meaningful context, and automaticity of production should focus on phonological details of language. So teachers should tell or give example of how to pronounce words in correct way. Third, accuracy and fluency. Accuracy means speaking a language in clear, articulate, grammatically, and phonologically correct, while fluency relates to flowing and natural language, or without undue pauses and hesitation. Too many hesitation and pauses in speaking may obstruct the speaking fluency. So fluency and accuracy are both important goals to pursue in contextual learning teaching. The fourth, effective factors. Many learners feel afraid or ashamed to speak because they are afraid to speak in wrong way, or afraid to have incomprehensible speaking. It relates to language egos. So our job as teachers is to provide the kind of warmth, to give motivation for our students, to encourage them to speak, however halting or broken their attempts may be. Next, the interaction effect. The greatest difficulty that learners deal with speaking is the interactive nature of most communication. Well, Nunan notes another complication in interactive discourse is interlocutor effect. It means one learner performance is always colored by interlocutor or the person that he or she is talking with. Next, questions about intelligibility. Now, outdated model of English language teaching assume that intelligibility should be measured by whether non-native speakers are intelligible to native speakers. So good pronunciations emphasize on the intelligibility, not on the native-like accent. 7, the growth of spoken corpora. Corpora defines as a collection of written and spoken text. It's used by linguists with the purpose of retrieving linguistic item for research, while by lexicographers, it is used for making some dictionaries. Such projects as the International Corpus of English, which contains data from the spoken Englishes of Hong Kong, New Zealand, United Kingdom, Ireland, Caribbean, and others. And the last one, genres of spoken language. Research on spoken language has attended to a specification of differences among various genres of oral interaction and how to teach those variations. What is judged to be acceptable and or correct varies by context, such as small talk, discussions, and narrative. Now, the second topic is types of spoken language. There are two types of spoken language. The first is monologue and the second dialogue. Monologue means one speaker use a spoken language for any length of time. For example, a speech, reading news, and etc. While dialogue involves two or more participants or speakers, like in conversations. In beginning through intermediate level of proficiency, most of the efforts of students in oral production come in the form of conversation or dialogue. Now, as teachers, we have to make sure that our students can deal with interpersonal or interactional and transactional dialogue. Next topic is what makes speaking difficult. As been explained by previous group last week in teaching listening, there are also the same characteristic that can make speaking difficult. The first is clustering. Clustering means if we are going to speak, we have to speak in phrasal, not word by word. Speaking is difficult when we could not or we cannot cluster the words. For example, if someone asks our phone number, we can use clustering the numbers to make it clearer. For example, 081 2164 2164. So there is we can use clustering. It is different if we don't use clustering like 08121642164. It's more clearer if we use the clustering. Second, redundancy. Redundancy can make the meaning clearer. For example, inside the classroom, if the teacher noticed that students do not understand about the teacher explanation, they may ask the teacher to reteach. Or we as the teacher, we have to reteach our explanation to make our students understand. The third reduced form. Contractions, elisions, reduced vowels, and etc. all form special problems in teaching spoken English. Next, performance variables. The process of thinking and speaking. Learners can actually be taught how to pause and hesitate. For example, in English, our thinking time is not silent, but we can use what is it? We call certain fillers like uh well, what I mean like that. It's fillers. Next, colloquial language. Make sure our students are well acquainted with the words, idioms, or phrases of colloquial language and that they get practice in producing these forms. Next, rate of delivery means the acceptable fluency and speed at the moment of speak. As teachers, we have to help our students achieve an acceptable speed along with the other attributes of fluency. 7, stress, rhythm, and intonation. It relates to the right intonation and pronunciation of patterns to send important messages. And the last, interaction. The creativity to produce the component waves of language. Every day we have to interact, and through interaction, we need to speak to other people to make our speaking skill develop. So we have, as a teachers, we have to, give many chances to students to practice their speaking through interaction with their friends. The next topic will be micro and macro skills of oral communication. Micro skills refers to producing smaller fragments of language, including phonemes, morphemes, words, collocation, and phrasal units. For example, we teach our students to pronounce from the alphabet and then the words, and then arrange words into the sentence. While macro skills focus on the larger elements such as fluency, discourse, function, style, cohesion, nonverbal communication, and strategic option. There are some lists of activity we can use the list of micro skill and macro skills written by Brown to adopt it in our lesson plan as the activity or goals of learning process. The list of activities of micro skills are: the first, produce chunks of language of different lengths. Second, orally produce differences among the English phonemes and allophonic variants. Third, produce English stress patterns, words in stressed and unstressed positions, rhythmic structure, and intonational contours. Fourth, produce reduced form of words and phrases. Fifth, use an adequate number of lexical units or words in order to accomplish pragmatic purposes. Six, produce fluent speech at different rates of delivery. Seven, monitor your own oral production and use various strategic devices like pauses, filters, self-corrections, backtracking to enhance the clarity of the message. 8, use grammatical word classes like noun, phrase, verbs, and etc. And system like tenses, agreement, self-correct, pluralization, word order patterns, rules, and elliptical forms. Next, produce speech in natural constituents. 10, express a particular meaning in different grammatical forms. While in macro scales, we can use the list of activities like use cohesive devices in spoken discourse, and then accomplish appropriately communicative functions according to situations, participants, and goals. Use appropriate registers, implicature, pragmatic conventions, and other sociolinguistic features in face-to-face conversations. Convey links and connections between event and communicate such relation as main idea, supporting idea, new information, given information, generalization, and exemplification. Use facial features, kinetic, body language, and other nonverbal cues along with verbal language to convey meanings, and then develop and use a battery of speaking strategies such as emphasizing keywords, rephrasing, providing a context for interpreting the meaning of words while your interlocutor is understanding you. One implication of such a list is the importance of focusing on both forms and functions of language. Forms of language deals with the internal grammatical structure of words and phrases. For example, when one compares boy and boys or man and man, he or she is considering the relationship between different language forms of structure. While language function, for example, giving instruction, describing things, and so on. Next topic, types of classroom speaking performance. It will be explained by Ms. Henny Suprihatin. So Ms. Henny Suprihatin, the time is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Hesti. I want to continue. 5 is type of classroom speaking performance. There are some types of speaking performance that can help students to improve speaking skill. The first is imitative. A very limited portion of classroom speaking time may legitimately we spend generating human tape recorder speech. For example, learners practice an intonation, contour, or try to pinpoint a certain vowel sound. Imitation of this kind is carried out not for the purpose of meaningful interaction, but for focusing on some particular element of language form. A new teacher in the field always wants the answer to question, is drilling a legitimate part of the communicative language classroom? The answer is yes. Drill offers students an opportunity to listen and to orally repeat certain string of language that may pose some linguistic difficult, either phonological or grammatical. Drill are to language teaching what the pitching machine is to baseball. They offer limited practice through repetition. They all allow one to focus on one element of a language in a control activity. They can help to establish certain psychomotor patterns or to lose the tongue and to associate a selected grammatical form with their appropriate context. Some useful guidelines for successful drills. The first is keep them short, a few minutes of a class hour only. Keep them simple, preferably just one point at a time. Keep them snappy. Make sure students why they are doing the drill. Limit them phonology or grammar point. Make sure they ultimately lead to communicative goals and don't overuse them. The second is intensive. Intensive speaking goes one step beyond imitative to include any speaking performance that is designed to practice some phonological or grammatical aspect of language. Intensive speaking can be self-initiated or it can even form part of some pair work activity where learners are going over certain form of language. The third, responsive. A good deal of student speech in the classroom is responsive. Short reply to teacher or student initiated questions or comments. These realize are usually sufficient and do not extend into dialogue. Such speech can be meaningful and authentic. For example, how are you today? That is the first person. And the second person, pretty good, thanks. And you? And the second, the first person, what is the main idea in this essay? Sorry. And the second, the United Nations should have more authority. So what did you write for question number 1? Well, I wasn't sure, so I left it blank. That is a responsive. Sorry. The third is transactional dialogue. Transactional language carried out for the purpose for conveying or exchanging specific information is an extended form of responsive language. Conversation, for example, may have more of a negotiative nature to them than does responsive speech. The first person is, what is the main idea in this essay, for example? The second person is, the United Nations should have more authority. And the second ask, more authority that what? And the second reply, then that's right now. What do you mean? Well, for example, the United Nations should have the power to force certain countries to destroy its nuclear weapon. You don't think the United Nations has that power now? Obviously not. Several countries are currently manufacturing nuclear bombs. That is the sample of transactional dialogue. And then the fifth is interpersonal dialogue. The other form of conversation mentioned in the previous chapter was interpersonal dialogue, carried out more for the purpose of maintaining such a social relationship than for the transmission of facts and information. These conversations are a little tricky for learners because they can involve some or all of the following factors. A casual register. B, colloquial language. Emotionally charged language, slang, ellipsis, sarcasm, a comfort agenda. For example of interpersonal dialogue, Amy say, "Hi Bob, how's it going?" And then Bob say, "Oh, so." Amy say, "Not a great weekend, huh?" "Well," Bob said, "far be it from me to criticize, but I'm pretty miffed about last week." And Amy asked, "What are you talking about?" And Bob said, I think you know perfectly well what I'm talking about." Amy replied, "Oh, Dad, how come you get so bent out of shape for something like that?" Bob said, "Well, whose fault was it? Who?" Amy replied, "Oh, no, this is great. Oh, no, this is great. Wonderful. Back to secure one for crying out loud." Bob said, "I thought we'd settled this before." "Well, what more can I say?" That is, for example, of interpersonal dialogue. And then the sixth extensive or monologue. Students at intermediate to advanced level are called on the give extended monologues in the form of oral reports, summaries, or perhaps short speeches. Here the register is more formal and deliberative. This monologue can be planned or improv too. And then principle for teaching speaking skills. There are 7 principles in teaching speaking skill, namely focus on both fluency and accuracy depending on your objective. In our currently zeal for interactive language teaching, we can easily slip into a pattern of providing zestly content-based interactive activities that don't capitalize on grammatical pointers or pronunciation tips. We need to bear in mind a spectrum of learner needs. For language-based focus on accuracy to message-based focus on interaction, meaning, and fluency. When you do a jigsaw group technique, play a game, or discuss solution to the environment crisis, make sure that your tasks have a language-based objective and says the opportunity to help students into perceive and use the building blocks of language. And the second is provide intrinsically more motivating techniques. Try it all times to appeal to students' ultimate goals and interests, to their need for knowledge, for status, for achieving competence and autonomy, and for being all that they can be. Even in those techniques that don't send students to ecstasy, help them to see how the activity will benefit them. Often students do not know why we ask them to do certain things. It usually pays to tell them. The third is encourage the use of authentic language in meaningful context. This term has been placed time and again in this book, but one more reminder, student heart. It is not easy to keep coming up with a meaningful interaction. We all succumb to the temptation to do. Say this connected little grammar exercise where we go around to room calling on student one by one to pick the right answer. It takes energy and creativity to devise authentic context and meaningful interaction. But with the help of a storehouse of teacher resource materials that is encourage the use of authentic language in meaningful context. And the fourth is provide appropriate feedback and correction. In most ill situation, students are totally students are totally depends on the teacher for useful linguistics feedback. In ESL situations, they may get such feedback out there beyond. Okay, in the classroom, but even then you are in a position to be of great benefit. It is important that you take advantage of your knowledge of English to inject the kinds of corrective feedback that are appropriate for the moment. And the fourth is capitalize on the natural link between speaking and listening. Many interactive techniques that involve speaking will also, of course, include listening. Don't lose out on opportunities to integrate these two skills. As you are perhaps focusing on speaking goals, listening goals may naturally coincide, and the two skills can reinforce each other. Skills in producing language are often initiated through comprehension. And the sixth is give students opportunities to initiate oral communications. A good deal of typical classroom interaction in characterized by teachers' initiations of language. We ask questions, give directions, and provide information, and students have been conditioned only to speak when spoken to. Part of oral communications competence is the ability to initiate conversation, to nominate topics, and to ask questions, to control conversation, and to change the subject. As you design and use speaking techniques, ask yourself if you have allowed students to initiate a language. The seventh is encourage the development of speaking strategies. The concept of strategies competence is one that few beginning language students are aware of. They simply have not thought about developing their own personal strategies for accomplishing oral communicative purpose. Your classroom can be one in which students become aware of and have a chance to practice such strategies as A. Asking for clarification, what? B. Asking for someone to repeat someone, like, who, excuse me? C. Using fillers, like, oh, I mean, well, in order to gain time to process. D. Using conversation maintenance choice, like, oh, right, yeah, okay, like that. A. Getting someone's attention, like, hey, say, so, and then using paraphrases for structures one can produce, and then appealing for assistance from the interlocutor to get a word or a phrase, for example. And then using formulaic expression at the survival stage, like, how much does a cost? How do you get to that? Like that. And then using mind and non-verbal expressions to convey meaning. And the last item is teaching conversation. The first is an indirect approach in which learners are more or less set loose to engage in interaction. The second is a direct approach that involves planning a conversation program around the specific micro skills, strategies, and processes that are involved in fluent conversation. The indirect approach implies that one does not actually teach conversation, but rather than students acquire conversational competence, primarily by engaging in meaningful tasks. A direct approach explicitly calls students' attention to conversational rules, conversations, and strategies. While both approaches can be found in language teaching institutions around the world, recent development in such models as task-based languages interaction have taken the learner well beyond simply using language. According Noonan, Ellis, and Willis, in their description of task-based interaction, for example, included focus on form, including analysis and practice as an integral part of every task. And then, like second, recommended that communicative tasks maximize the change of a focus of form through attentional manipulation. It is clear, upon scanning current English language textbook, that the prevailing approach to teach conversation includes the learner's inductive involvement in meaningful tasks as well as consciousness raising elements of focus on form. That is the following list of feature of conversation that can receive specific focus in the classroom instruction. How to use a conversation for both transactional and interactional purpose. How to produce both short and long turns in conversations. Strategies for managing tone taking in conversation, including talking a turn, holding a turn, and relinquishing a turn. Strategies for opening and closing conversations, how to initiate and respond to talk on a broad range of topics, and how develop and maintain talk on these topics, how to use both a casual style of speaking and a natural or more formal style, how to use conversation in different social setting and for different kinds of social encounters, such as on the cell phone and informal and formal social gatherings, strategies for repairing trouble spots in conversations, including communication breakdown and comprehension problems, how to maintain fluency in conversations through avoiding excessive pausing, breakdowns, and errors of grammar of pronunciation, how to produce talk in a conversational mode using a conversational register and syntax, how to use conversational fillers and small talk, and how to use conversational routines. That is according to Brown, recommended then to match a book for an exploratory journey into some of the possibilities. What follows here are some example texts that illustrate teaching with various aspects of conversation, as well as on oral grammar practice technique. That is example of conversation, indirect or strategy, consciousness raising, and then conversation direct or gambits, And then conversation transactional or ordering from a catalog. And then meaningful oral grammar practice or model auxiliary work. And then individual practice technique or oral dialogue journal. For extra classes practice, aside from recommending that your students seek out opportunities for authentic use of English, several teacher trainers recommended using oral dialogue journal. Written dialogue journal have been in used for have been in use for sometimes. That is and then other interactive technique. Many other tests and techniques can be applied to the teaching of conversation. They are almost impossible to categorize. But here are a few possible types, gleaned simply from the table of contents of predicate clippers, a practical little resource book. That is interviews, guessing games, jigsaw task, ranking exercises, discussions, value clarification, problems solving activities, role plays, and simulation. That is for Miss Anisha, time is yours to continue teaching pronunciation.
Thank you, Miss Henny. Next is teaching pronunciation. There are six factors.
Anissa, wait for me first. Yes. Miss Henny, why didn't you switch on your video during the presentation? Yeah.
Sorry,
Yes.
sir.
Okay, maybe
Kepencet.
it
That
is
is kepencet.
kepencet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Sorry. I think sorry. Sorry.
Next time. Yeah. I would like you also, Miss Henny, to drill yourself in pronunciation by reading your dictionary.
Yep.
To
Sorry,
make it better.
Sorry.
Okay, Anissa, go on.
Okay, next is teaching pronunciation. There are 6 factors that affect pronunciation with learners. First, native language. If you are familiar with the sound system of learners' native language, you will be better able to diagnose student difficulties. Second, children under the age of puberty stand an excellent chance of sounding like a native if they have continued exposure in authentic context. Next, exposure. Research seems to support the notion that the quality and intensity of exposure are more important than more length of time. Innate phonetic ability. Strategies besides instruction has proven that some elements of learning are a matter of an awareness of your own limitation combined with conscious focus on doing something to compensate for those limitations. Next, identity and language ego. Students need to become aware of and not afraid of the second identity that may be emerging within them. Next, motivation and concern for good pronunciation. Some learners are not particularly concerned about their pronunciation, while others are. If motivation and concern are high, then the necessary effort will be expended in pursuit of goals. So there are The three techniques for teaching different aspects of language pronunciation. First, intonation listening for pitch change. Second, stress contrasting nouns. And next, meaningful minimal pairs. Focus on from and error treatment. One of the most enigmatic questions in the language teaching profession is when and how should I correct the speech error of learners in my classroom? First, the role of feedback. Role of feedback cognitive feedback must be optimal in order to be effective. Too much negative cognitive feedback leads learners to shut off their attempts at communication. Too much positive cognitive feedback serves to reinforce the error of speaker learners. The result is the persistence and perhaps the eventual fossilization of such errors. Second, when and how to treat errors. We can focus on global and local errors. Students in the classroom generally want and expect errors to be corrected. Some methods recommend no direct treatment of error at all. The teacher needs to develop of intuition through experience and establish a theoretical foundation for ascertaining option or combination of 7 basic options is appropriate at given moment. There are 7 basic options. First, to treat or to ignore. Second, to treat or immediately or to delay. Next, to transfer treatment. Next, to transfer to another individual, a subgroup or the whole class. Next, to return or to not to the original error make after treatment. Next, to permit other learners to initiate treatment. And the 7, to test for the effectiveness of the treatment. And possible feature for respect of error indicate, location indicate, opportunity for new attempt given, model provide, error type indicate, remedy indicate, and improvement indicate, price indicate. Model of treatment of classroom speech error according to Brown. After one very quick define utterance by a student as a teacher, we should make an amazing number of observation and evaluation that go into the process of error treatment. New teacher will find such prospect daunting, perhaps, but with experience, any of these consideration will become automatic. Assessing speaking in the classroom. Speech is observable, recordable, and measurable. Here are the procedure in designing classroom assessment procedure for oral production. First, specify the category of speaking performance that's in question. Second, describe the macro and or micro skill that are to be assessed. Third, the genre of spoken language that is being assessed. Item types and tasks for assessing speaking. First, imitative speaking tasks are minimal pair repetition, word sentence repetition. Second, intensive speaking tasks. Third, responsive speaking tasks are picture code allocation, map code allocation or direction, question and answer, question allocation, parsing. Fourth, interactive speaking tasks are oral interview, role plays, discussion or conversation, and games. Fifth, extensive speaking tasks oral presentation, picture storytelling, retelling a story or new events, translation, or an extant text, evaluating and scoring speaking text. The evaluation or oral production performance can get complicated. The first, we have to be clear about the level language that our targeting. There are at least 6 possible criteria that we can use. First, pronunciation. Second, fluency. Third, vocabulary. Fourth, grammar. Fifth, discourse features. And last, task. Some class are comprehension to account for the extent to which a student has comprehended direction or elevation. We can use categories such beginning, intermediate, and advanced as potential levels. Okay, practice make right, application make perfect. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Mr. and Miss.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, we still have some more time to have a discussion, to have question and answer. You have the right to ask questions to the group. Come on, time is yours.
Mister, I have a question
I
to you.
am, sir. I am,
I
not
am,
me.
I answer. I have a question, but it is to you, actually. I just want to ask about how to assess accuracy and fluency of speaking while the student have a very low ability. That's all, sir.
Yes, group 7, do you get the point?
The question is for you, sir.
Oh,
For users.
you, yeah. Pardon me again your questions to make it clearer for me.
Okay. How to assess accuracy and fluency for students with a very low ability of speaking in English?
Yes, our students consist of 3 levels, of course. Every student in the classroom consists of 3 levels: low, yeah, low level, maybe average, and high level. Yes, we call it slow learners. Yes, yeah, average ones and fast learners. So treating the fast learners, of course, you should be creative to ask them more difficult questions. Yes, but treating the slow learners, you must be very patient. Yes. Give them the easy questions to motivate them to learn harder and harder. Don't give them the same questions, the same assessment with the fast learners. That is my suggestions. Yes. Especially if you are teaching children, yeah, young learners. Yeah, do you know young learners? Your young learners consist of kindergarten, elementary school children, and junior high school children. Of course, it is not implemented for adult learners like you. Yes, I should give you the same questions, of course. But if I teach the young learners, yeah, to motivate them, of course, by giving them the same, not the same questions, yeah, the same assessment, but different ones. Yeah. That's my suggestion, Swinda.
Yes, sir. Actually, I've been, no, I have teach, I taught students in elementary school, but
Yes.
I don't think they have problems. But now I teach in senior high school. They are teenagers, but they really difficult for me to teach them English because they start a very high age, and in the remote area, English is very far from them. Sometimes they never want to say. Actually, when you say yes or no, it's actually they are make fun of me, not really want to speak English. But when they say yes, it means they make fun of the English itself. So when I ask them to speak, especially introducing themselves, it become a very huge problem because they even cannot say name, you know, sir. Monkey and banana is my big problem. That's why I don't know how to assess accuracy and fluency in this level. I mean, what kind of level should I take? Young learners is easy for me. I take it for granted.
Yes,
I know it.
you should start from the very beginning, of course, to make them motivated in learning. So give them the easy conversation, not the difficult one, starting from the beginning. Yes, do you know what? In some Indonesian places, there are some, not only some, but many students, they are graduated from elementary school, but they cannot write well. You know what? In some of not Sumatran people, yeah, Sumatran students, that's a big problem. My friend said last week that they are now at junior high school, but they cannot write well, even though in Indonesians. Moreover, in English, of course, yeah, if you teach at suburban, yeah, at that district far from towns, of course, it should be very difficult for you because their background is very petty, actually. Yes, so you must be so patient to treat them. Yes, start from the very beginning, from the easy one. Yeah. What's your name? Yeah, if they do wrong, don't blame them. Yeah, blame yourself. Yes, start from yourself first. Yeah, what's your name? Ani. That's okay. Yeah, you may teach them by saying, I am Ani. Come on. Yes. So it needs time, of course. Yeah, because they are, yeah, let's say, actually they are not the slow learners, but maybe the teachers before didn't teach them well. That's the problem. Yes. So I would like you, yeah, to be more patient, to treat them, to teach them. Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you for your advice.
Yes.
Excuse me, sir.
Okay.
I have a question for you, sir. Can I ask you, sir?
Okay, Mr. Zani.
Okay, now I am a teacher of a state school. It's a bit similar to Miss Winda, yeah. Long 4 years I'm teaching in that school. I force my students to understand English, English by my explanation. In all my explanation, maybe 80% in English. Actually, I use 80% in my explanation, but mostly I'm a bit inspired by TPR, sir. Total physical response. So I forced them to understand my speaking. But the result of what I have done along these 3 years, most of my students didn't fulfill my expectation in, especially in language tests, in the midterm test or final test or semester PAS like that. So I, at the end, maybe at the middle, in the midterm, I told them to give me the reflection, and it's a bit evaluation and suggestion what they want in the class. What I got from them is, sir, can you teach English by Indonesian? Like that. So what should I do, sir, by this? Should I continue teaching them in full English, or trying to teaching the materials in English, or using Indonesian, sir? Or maybe any other suggestion from you to me, sir? Because the condition is like Miss Winda. I'm in a bit remote area, but not so remote, but bit remote area, yeah. In this Cisaat Sukabumi, like that. Thank you, sir.
Oh, Cisaat, yes. Okay. Mr. Jayani, of course it is wrong if complicated. So my suggestion is you may use English, but the simplest one. Yes. Like I said before to Winda, you may start, yeah, okay, TPR. You can practice, yeah, by saying to your students like this, stand up, and then they are stand up.
Oh, yeah.
Sit down, smile at me, and then if you do that, and your midterm test or daily test, of course, also what you gave. As I said before, that do you know what is called validity of the test? What you teach should be the as what you taught before. Don't ask them the material you didn't teach before. That is wrong. So if you test them by using TPR also, I think they will do that. But if you teach them by using Indonesian, it is, yeah, you treat English not as a communication. You treat English like physics, like mathematics. Yeah. But you need your students to speak English. If you need your students to speak English, of course, you start from the very beginning. The easy one. Don't teach them like Mr. Saragi teach you. No, of course. Yeah. Come on, boys and girls, look at me. Smile at me, please. Come on. Yeah. Write down, smile. Come on, write down on your book. Take your pen and then write down. That's the starting point. If you do that, I'm sure that you are going to be successful, and your students are going to be successful also. Do you know what? I was a teacher of elementary school before, for around two years, and then junior high schools, English, and senior high school, vocational schools, and all schools in Indonesia I have taught before. Yes. So don't give your students a complicated sentences. No, start from the very beginning. Come on, ladies, boys and girls, let's stand up, clap. They clap. Write down how clap this. I go to the door. Don't say I go to school. I go to the door. Yeah. Let's practice it. If you use TPR. Yeah. I sit down on my bench. I sit down on my chair. Sit down on my chair. Write down, please. Yeah. So you combine listening, speaking, and practicing at the same time. If you do that, your students will be very happy. I've done it before. And then all my students, you know what? The students, my students of 45 years ago now, they made a group, including me, 45 years ago, because they said that you are a good teacher of English. Until now, they made a group and I'm including in the group. Every day we contact one another, we text one another, because it is a very remembering English, he said. Do you know what? When I was teaching them, I say, this is my head, my ear, not this one, my ear, my nose, not this one, my nose, and my mouth. Touch it. Ya, ketika menunjuk telinga, bukan saya bilang tunjuk begini, dikorek-korek, nunjuk hidung, dikorek-korek hidungnya, lalu masukkan ke mulut. Mereka ingat 45 tahun. They remember it. Yeah. They remember it. Yeah. So many groups of my students before, 45 years ago, 40 years ago. Yes, because I made it a joyful class, a joyful learning at the time. Yeah. I said to them that English is interesting. Learning English. Are you going to go around the world? Learn English, I said. Yeah. And some of my students also have gone around the world. Yes.
Yes,
So I would like you to do that, Mr. Zaini, yeah, especially in Cisaat and others.
So sir, we have to
Make
give
them
an
happy.
impressive moment with in when we teach. We have to prepare it before.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
yes, sir.
If they think that English is a joyful learning, yeah, it will be very interesting and they like it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Welcome.
Right.
Okay, sir. This is
Erlita.
yeah, Erlita.
Please.
Maybe 3 minutes, sir. 3 minutes.
Okay.
This is maybe the challenge for the teacher who teach in the remote area like me. Maybe Miss Winda and Mr. Jaini is the same with me. But you said that when I teach the teacher, is this when actually I teach in the senior high school, but I teach using the sing a song, sir.
No. Songs.
Yeah, sing a song. We have to sing a song like, if you happy and you know to clap your hand.
Yes,
if you happy and like that, but the fact, sir, this is the real in the teaching learning of English, but the target of curriculum is not reached about that. Jadi kurikulumnya nggak tercapai.
No. You should reach the target of your curriculum.
Yes,
but make them happy first. If they are happy, if your students are joyful, they will learn hard.
Yeah,
they will learn hard because don't prohibit the curriculum also. You can reach the curriculum itself if they are motivated.
Yes, sir. I give the word. For example, when I teach the speaking skill, the first I give I would like to sing a song first, and the student have to choose the difficult word, and he or she write about that difficult and make the sentence and try to speak up in the classroom. Maybe like that,
yes,
sir.
That's okay.
I do like
that's
that.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
Yes, and then every day, because language is a habit, you should give them homework every day.
Yeah,
even
maybe.
A bit.
Yeah,
yes.
Maybe this is the according with the curriculum 2004, maybe, sir, because the curriculum 2004 give the freedom for the teacher to give another maybe like that, sir.
Yes, of course. You must be creative, yeah. But because English is language is a habit, I would like you to drill your students by giving them homework every day, by drilling songs, actually, by writing poems, yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, time is up. I want you to remember that from this topic today, I would like you to know exactly and read your book well about what is speaking, yes, what makes speaking difficult, yes, the types of speaking performance, yes, principles of speaking, and how to assess speaking. These are the subtopics that you should grasp, that you should cope well from this topic. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and group 7, thank you very much for your presentation and to all of you who participated in this learning process. Goodbye and have a nice weekend.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Izin live ya teman-teman. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih teman-teman Miss Esti, terima kasih Miss.
Bah, hari ini ada
Terima kasih grup 7.
tapi ada Zoom lagi.
Grup 7 SD.
Zoom lagi pas linguistik ya berarti.
Halo. Oh, udah. Tadi suaraku nggak ada ya?
Iya, Miss.
Nggak kedenger.
Mau. Itu Miss Opi buat grammar, Miss Opi.
Iya.
Oh iya. Itu yang grammar itu gimana diserahkan tulisannya di foto di
Kayak
kemarin aja.
Kemarin lagi
Kemarin
Kemudian nanti ini aku lagi buatin G Drive-nya. Jadi kalau udah selesai langsung ke G Drive-nya aja ya. Oke?
Ya.
Jam
Oke.
8 paling mentok ya, jam 8 malam.
Itu yang udah di
pakai
udah
kertas
yang di-share itu ya?
HPS ya?
Pakai kertas HPS boleh, pakai kertas bergaris boleh.
Oh iya.
Miss Opi itu yang udah di-share di grup itu ya? Kuisnya ya?
Ya, ada di grup.
Itu kok udah ada diisi tuh, udah diisi. Mr. Apip udah diisi tuh, udah diisi.
Oh iya
Nah,
gitu.
itu.
Udah ada diisi tuh.
Bisa udah bantu lagi, alhamdulillah, tinggal
Alhamdulillah. Aduh, pokoknya udah lega deh.
Alhamdulillah, terima kasih loh Pak Afif.
Link tulis tangannya.
Terima kasih. Aduh,
Oh iya, mau ngucapin langsung nih sama yang habis.
Oh, ada pengantinnya.
Benar.
Ya, makasih.
Ya, yang mana sih?
Rasanya
Masih honeymoon langsung
yang
kuliah
habis
ini.
nikah.
Masih tanggal sampai hari Senin lah.
Oh iya.
Mr. Jai ini kayaknya Mr. Widya udah agak cerah gitu ya.
Beda ya, yang baru.
Terlita hujan terus.
Senyum terus ya ampun.
Senyum terus.
Aduh, seneng
Opi
banget.
ada udah ngaku kayak Miss Opi nih.
Senyum terus bantuin istri ini juga soalnya persiapan akreditasi.
Sekarang mah lebih asik lah bantuinnya ya. Bisa ngapa-ngapain.
Berdua sekarang nggak ada yang sendiri lagi dah.
Itu sambil ngapa-ngapain.
Soalnya kalau berdua mah tugas pun serasa berkah terus gitu.
Aku mah nggak sedih.
Tapi jangan sedih Miss Opi.
Nggak, aku cuma iri doang.
Ayo Miss Opi segera.
Aku nggak sedih, aku iri.
Biar ada selimut bertangan.
Ya.
Udah jangan lupa presensi.
Presensi yang LMS jangan lupa ya.
Iya.
Kan nggak bisa masuk.
Ya, sekali lagi Sir Widya.
Kalau nggak bisa katanya pakai Google account katanya. Oh iya, thank
for your life ya.
Tadi yang susah LMS masuk, saya udah japri di TU-nya. Ternyata harus ganti browser.
Oh, maksudnya
aku udah pakai Chrome.
Jadi
udah bisa.
Misalkan di LMS-nya susah masuk, tadi saya disarankan ganti browser.
Langsung masuk.
Saya sekarang bisa.
Aku nggak bisa. Aku nggak bisa udah berapa kali reset sama TU-nya, nggak bisa.
Ganti browser, Miss.
Jadi nggak pakai Chrome gitu.
Jangan pakai Chrome, pakai yang lain. Saya pakai
Hurung A.
Miss Sophie, ini absennya gimana kalau udah gini?
Abi aja deh.
Diklik aja, diklik.
Bentar dulu.
Hurung tuh,
Diklik yang mana, Miss?
Iya, gimana cara?
Mozilla atau
Nah, itu
apa?
diklik.
Coba
Nanti
share.
udah
Enggak,
3
insya
kali
Allah.
diklik.
Bentar,
Nah,
Mas,
itunya
ya.
di-download. Itu Medley-nya.
Miss Novi.
3. Bentar, Mas, hurung tuh ya.
Di WA emutan pilih hilang. Abi paling siang, rada siangan.
Apa di bentar. Yang mau nge-share silakan
lagi nganuin
sharing
itu.
itunya. Sharing
Aku nggak bisa.
Makan
Aku
dulu.
nggak bisa LMS nggak dari kemarin nggak bisa ya.
Sinyal.
LMS-nya nggak bisa.
Kita pertemuan berapa
Miss
ya, Miss
izin
Sophie?
live dulu ya. Mau
Paling
sarapan dulu.
terakhir.
Assalamualaikum.
Oh iya, boleh.
Pertemuan 11 ya? Iya.
Bisa Lita. Kalau
Oke.
udah login, diklik apa ke LMS-nya?
Itu saya ngeklik yang apa tuh materinya biar jadi hijau ya, Miss Opi ya.
Ya aturan tuh kayak gitu, tapi dia tuh aturan tuh ada dia tuh ada materi PPT sama materi sama yang buat kayak kita jawab tanya loh. Aturan ada.
Iya. Tapi ini isinya cuma Medlit doang. Medlit 10.
Coba Pak Apip diklik yang di dashboardnya yang presensi. Berapa coba 45% atau berapa? Yang lain berapa?
Presensi yang
sebelah kiri
ini.
yang hitam. Yang itu.
Kalita pakai apa browsernya?
Yang research
Saya
methodology.
pakai mikroskop.
0%. 0%.
Berapa persen?
Miss. 0.
Bukan yang itunya yang ada tuh kalau ada research metodologinya berapa persen? Aku 4 Indo berapa itu?
Oh, 69, Miss.
69.
Oh, 69 sebelahnya 45 ya?
27%.
36.
36.
Oh, aku 45.
Beda-beda ya.
Aku juga 45, Miss Lita.
Siapa yang
Berarti
Hikmat Pami
69.
45. Tapi
45.
yang sekarang 45 sama
69.
69 sama 45.
Aku 69.
69 mah Miss Opi yang pertemuannya, yang kolom hadirnya berapa Miss Opi?
36 aku, Miss.
Aku 45 yang
69%.
Saya 69.
Sebelahnya?
36.
36 ada 2 kolom.
36. 36.
Oh.
Grammar kirim ke link yang tadi Miss Sophie.
Iya, grammar ke situ ya.
Ini absennya cuma kayak gitu doang.
Iya, cuman
aturan kan ada.
Iya, aturan ada itu yang satunya
Saya
lagi.
hadirnya 36%. Kalau Miss Adita berapa hadirnya?
Ini aku kirim deh di grup.
Oh, 36.
Aku 45.
Banyak kan, Miss?
Banyak.
Nggak tahu.
Ini kan harusnya kalau apa yang kehadiran itu diklik hijau ya.
Kok ini nggak hijau ya? Harusnya hijau.
Saya mah apa biru
Miss,
aja.
kalau
Nih
Miss,
aku
Miss,
gitu.
Miss, kalau aku nggak bisa minta kemana sih? Kita minta kasih tahu ke siapa sih?
Aku ke Pak Kris. Aku
Pak
udah
Kris
kasih
ya?
tahu Miss Opi.
Iya. Pak Kris.
Ya aku balik lagi seperti itu nggak bisa.
Udah beda itu belum Miss, beda browser. Coba
Udah
buka
aku
di beda
beda.
browser.
Tetap balik lagi. Nanti aku nggak kesana aja lah, sekalian ambil jaket lah. Apa itu ke kampus lah. Nggak bisa. Udah aku minta tolong sama di orang kantor, minta orang IT
terus, Miss.
Yang diklik hijau yang mananya, Miss?
Kan diklik presensi tuh. Presensi. Nah.
List materi dan aktivitas ada kotak ya. Diklik ini mah biru terus.
Oh, yang di dashboard terus klik Sri
Di
Hatsari.
bawahnya presensi. Terus diklik
kelas
yang
ya?
terus yang sekarang nggak bisa lagi.
Coba teteh apa browsernya teh?
X mikroskop.
Absen, iya nggak bisa random.
Tuh nggak bisa. Nih, terus yang ininya muncul. Sebentar aku screenshot dulu.
Nah, iya aku kayak gini nih.
Tapi harusnya hijau itu Pak Apip, warna di kotak
Oh,
merahnya.
bilang
Tapi
aja
ini
ke itunya ke
Aku nggak
siapa?
bisa nih.
nih.
Miss Sapsari.
Nih.
Oh iya iya iya.
Nih, ini munculnya harusnya. Nah, itu.
Oh. Yang diklik yang
Gimana itu
bawahnya
biar
itu
jadi
Miss ya?
hijau?
Ini hijau
Yang
cuma
diklik.
bisa sama Miss Hapsari atau enggak sama itu doang. Sama
Dulu pernah
orang TU-nya.
Enggak ada Miss, dulu kita pernah kalau sudah ngedownload atau udah ngasih
Itu di itunya,
komen.
Miss. Sini, Miss. Iya, bukan di sini, bukan di presensi, tapi di itunya. Di bentar.
Di materi yang
Di
pertemuan 11
materinya.
itu ya?
Iya, di
Oh,
materinya.
jadi gimana nih Miss Opi buat tutorial dong?
Yang presensi kelas itu yang ngisi Miss Hapsarinya, Miss, yang hijau itu kita nggak.
Kalau misalnya kalau Miss Hapsarinya nggak ada itunya, apa sih namanya, kan aturan kan ada 2. Aturan tuh ada yang
benar,
PPT sama yang ada yang kolom tanya jawab. Nah, di situ nggak ada kolom tanya jawabnya.
Yang ada muncul nama kita di sampingnya itu Miss ya kalau udah login ya?
Kan cuma 1 nih.
Berarti yang cuma bisa akses cuma Miss Hapsari untuk akses
Iya.
ya?
Cuma Miss Hapsari sama itu. Nah, ini kan cuma 1 Medlit. Yang 2 mana ya?
Iya, iya.
Ada 2 deh.
Miss nggak di ngomong di grup aja.
Coba. Nih, kan aturan ada forum diskusi.
Iya, ini mah nggak ada.
Nah, kalau diginiin ada user join-nya.
Kita di sini nggak ada sekarang.
Oh,
nggak ada.
Ini yang sekarang aku ada nggak, Min?
Ini nggak ada, nggak, ini di diskusi ke-6, pertemuan ke-6, bukan yang 11. Bentar aku ituin ke Miss.
Iya, tungguin dari Miss Opi nanya ke Bu Sari aja. Kalau kita ngeklik yang diskusi, pasti nanti muncul warna hijau di kotak merah itu.
Iya.
Harus ada forum.
Berarti yang ada kotaknya tuh ngebuka ada yang mana, Miss?
Presensi.
Presensi udah.
Diklik 2 kali nanti muncul, tapi agak lama tadi loadingnya juga. Jadi hari ini Advan Gamer nggak ada Zoom. Langsung ke Miss
Tinggal Miss
Oom.
Oom doang.
Iya. Pak Apip, kita minggu depan loh Pak Apip.
Apa?
Presentasi.
Kurdep ya?
Oh
iya. Aman.
Kita
aman
belum
kalau
buat
sama
ya?
Miss Afif, Mr. Afif mah.
Aman.
Udut dulu, Sir.
Ngopi dulu, bener.
Oh,
Parit,
ngopi dulu,
Parit.
bener.
Udut dulu.
Kayaknya semester 3 pada kuliah ya kayaknya. Ya Miss Opi.
Kayaknya udah mulai.
Kebanyakan ngopi, Pak Afif. Wih, pakai
Waduh.
rokok lagi.
Berangkat pagi pulang malam.
Keren.
Pengantin baru semangat.
Keren.
Gacor.
Aduh, gacor, maaf,
Traktir.
aku innocent, aku nggak dengar.
Artis.
Sir Afif di rumah apa di kantor, Sir?
Di rumah. Mau ke sekolah itu grammar saya dapat dari link di website, saya nyari tadi ada jawabannya.
Oh, alah, pantesan cepet.
Iya.
Langsung
Thank you.
Ada yang gampang ya
dapat
kan?
tadi.
Langsung
Thank you,
aja.
friend.
Ya, makasih.
Terima
makasih
kasih
lah sekali lagi ya.
Makasih ke yang ngirimnya di website, Mas. Jangan ke saya lah.
Iya, benar. Tapi kan yang nge-share lagi ke grup Pak Apif.
Iya, enggak lah.
Ya enggak lah, gimana?
Pahit. Yowes. Pak Widya, cager.
Apa, Pak Apif?
Masya Allah.
Alhamdulillah sehat.
Masya Allah itu senyumannya.
Yakinlah dari tadi senyum-senyum aja. Gimana?
Jelas ya.
Senyumannya, bibirnya
Seneng-seneng
merah,
gimana
giginya
gitu senyum-senyumnya.
putih.
Lagi di
Masya
Tangsel ya,
Allah.
Dir.
Di Kabupaten Tangerang.
Oh, di kabupaten.
Sekarang mah ada pendamping.
Ada.
Miss, Pak Widya di mana? Kabupaten Tangerang.
Tangerang dia.
Iya.
Di mananya?
Di
Tangsel.
Oh, deket lah. Karawaci kan?
Iya.
Nah, tuh main dah.
Deket-deket.
OTW.
Saya di Balaraja, kabupaten juga. Tapi ntar aja lah, jangan ganggu Pak Widya dulu. Ya. Ke pasar lama malam minggu
Oh,
nih.
pasar lama ya, ya.
Pengen weh ke pasar lamanya.
Malam minggu nih.
Maaf nggak kenal malam minggu, jauh.
Izin dulu ya, mau ini dulu.
Mau apa yo?
Mandi lah, mandi. Istri mau udah berangkat.
Oh, iya.
Baru mandi ya? Ya, boleh.
Kalau belum berangkat juga nggak apa-apa.
Udah berangkat tadi jam 8.
Belum berangkat juga nggak apa-apa, Sir.
Baru berangkat tadi jam 8, dinas soalnya.
Oh. Ya silakan, Sir. Oh.
Ya, izin dulu
Balik
ya.
lagi nanti Miss Oom.
Oh iya, siap.
Ya.
Ya,
Nih aku stop ya.
boleh.